Hello YouTubers. This is going to be another quick video to clarify something that seems to be causing some confusion with a few users regarding the content of my channel and YouTuber and fellow Song of Ice and Fire fan Preston Jacobs. And you know, with so many new subscribers, this is probably something that you may be wondering about yourself, even if you haven't expressed it yet. So let me begin this with a brief story. This is going to take place sometime around 2005. I had finished reading the most recent Robert Jordan book that had been released, and I was lamenting to a friend how long it took Robert Jordan to make his books, ironically not knowing that Robert Jordan was unfortunately about to become very ill and eventually pass away without finishing any more of his books. So my friend says to me, he said, "Hey, I know of this cool fantasy series that doesn't have any magic and the heroes get killed." And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of interesting. So I started reading A Song of Ice and Fire. And in fact, I remember in my first read-through of A Storm of Swords, I was about midway through the book, and I thought to myself, hey, this is a really cool series. I wonder how long I have to wait for the next book to come out. So I went and Googled it and found out that A Feast for Crows had just been released. So this would have been right about late 2005, early 2006. But anyways, the point being, I've been at this hobby for quite a long time now. And back then, you know, we didn't have YouTube theory channels or the wiki or the world book, you know, this kind of stuff that we have today. And for me, the fandom mostly came down to the few friends I knew who read this series. But now we fast forward 10 years and we have some really great YouTube channels putting out fantastic content. And one of which happens to be Preston Jacobs, who I greatly enjoy. Don't necessarily always agree with. If you read carefully through his comments, you will find somewhere I have disagreed with him on a few points, but by and large he does really great stuff. And some time ago, when Preston announced that he was going to do a book club for the Thousand Worlds, I thought that was a really great idea. And I had actually read George R. Martin's story Meat House Man when I was a teenager, and my impression at the time was, well, this is an interesting story, but it's pretty damn weird. So to be honest, you know, at that time, you know, I was kind of more interested in playing sports and chasing girls really than reading genre literature anyway. So I never really put much effort into reading George R. R. Martin's other work outside of A Song of Ice and Fire. But in my opinion, the book club, the Thousand Worlds book club that Preston does, has been really fantastic. And I've gotten to see a lot more of how George R. R. Martin's styles and themes overlap significantly between his stories, and it makes A Song of Ice and Fire much more understandable. And this has really been, you know, for me, the most positive experience I've had as a fan since A Dance with Dragons came out. And coming from someone, you know, who's been at this for a little over a decade now, that's really saying something. And if you've, you know, just become a fan from watching the show and you have a hard time waiting between seasons, well, you know, put yourself in my shoes and think of how it must feel for someone who's had to wait years between books. You know, as the saying goes, you merely adopted the Game of Thrones, and I was born to it and molded by it, and I didn't see the show until I was already a man. So, with that said, let me clarify my response video series that I do for Preston's Book Club. When Preston announced that the book club was going to happen, he openly solicited for audience participation, and hence why it's called a book club. And I participate by making videos because my comments tend to be very lengthy, and if I tried to type them just in the comments section of his videos, it would be extremely long, and you know, probably by the end of the day almost unreadable, since you know, people don't like to slog through that much text. It's a lot easier to just listen to it on a video. So that's what I do. That's pretty much, you know, the extent of it. And I've had a few users now, you know, maybe just a handful or so, suggesting that, you know, I'm trying to ride Preston's coattails or compete with him or some such, which, you know, frankly, it's not the case. And I hope this is obvious now after hearing my story. In the first case, I have no intent to build some kind of big YouTube channel. And, you know, prior to posting my first couple theory videos, I only had about 40 subscribers, and I was perfectly fine with that. And in the second case, I have no intent to compete with anybody, particularly Preston, who appears to have, you know, far more time for research and video production than I do. So I think he does really good quality stuff, and I have a career that's pretty time intensive, and I don't have the time or inclination to try to compete with him. So I hope this clears the air for everyone who was wondering. Though honestly, from what I've experienced, the vast majority of you guys have been really fantastic, and you show up with good attitudes and good comments, and understanding that we're all just fans and nobody's trying to steal anyone else's content. So, thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for my upcoming video, and the topic for that one is going to be the Rogue Prince.